faithfully delivering value and interpreting the world's best books. Hi, this is Sally with Book Talk. Today, we're diving into Kafka's Metamorphosis, one of the most mind-blowing novels in 20th century literature history. Its opening is absolutely gripping. One morning, a guy wakes up and suddenly finds he's turned into a beetle. This fresh approach stunned countless writers, including Gabriel Garcia Marquez, author of 100 Years of Solitude. And after reading it, they all go, whoa, so novels can be written like this? Kafka's novella came out in 1915. Over the past century, Metamorphosis has become one of literature's greatest works, deeply influencing both global and modern Chinese literature. No exaggeration, Kafka's pretty much the trailblazer and founder of 20th century modern literature. Kafka was an Austrian novelist, born in 1883 in Prague, Czech Republic, and raised in a German-speaking Jewish household. This simple bio already shows Kafka's complex and conflicted life. He was Austrian, but lived in Czech territory under the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the 1800s. He was Jewish, but his first language was German. So Kafka was always super confused about who he really was. The messy social scene and clashing identities made him feel like an accidental drifter in the world, full of unease and distrust. Plus, Kafka was frail and sickly as a kid, and his dad was super harsh, leaving him tense and scared from childhood on. Kafka wrote in his diary, "My core is fear." It was this sensitive, restless soul that gave him a unique view of the world and let him craft timeless masterpieces. Kafka's basic take on the world was alien, cold, and lonely, his bad luck, but also his gift. That unique angle shaped his writing's core aesthetic. Paradox. But Kafka wasn't just making simple paradoxes. He aimed to express a real feel for the world. He put everyday life into imagined extreme scenarios. Then he explored how humans fare in those states, with Metamorphosis being the ultimate showcase of Kafka's style. That's our focus today. In this novel, Kafka chose the family as the story's backdrop, traditionally the most reliable, warm, and safe haven. The bizarre phenomenon he created was metamorphosis. He turned a traveling salesman into a beetle. Then, he used this to test how family and society would react, uncovering life aspects often overlooked. Metamorphosis has three parts. Part 1 happens on a winter morning from 6 to 8 a.m. Protagonist Gregor Samsa, a traveling salesman, wakes up to find he's become a beetle. But Samsa doesn't seem bothered. He thinks it's temporary. Stuck in his insect body, he reflects bitterly on his job. Frustrated, resistant, wanting to quit immediately. Not just because it's exhausting, but relationships stay shallow, yet he must keep working to support his bankrupt father. His asthmatic mother and young sister rely on him to fund her music school. Family urges him at the door, but he can't move. Meanwhile, his boss arrives, demanding through the door, "Get up for work now!" Samsa tries to reply. He understands them, but no one gets him. All he makes are shrill insect screeches. He finally opens the door. The boss flees in terror. His mother faints. After a brief scare, his father threatens him and roughly shoves him back, injuring him. Part 2 covers 2 months post-metamorphosis. With Samsa jobless, the family seems in crisis. But secretly, the father saved money to sustain them. Samsa doesn't know. Family dynamics shift dramatically. Once, he cared for his sister. Now she feeds him, meticulously testing foods, even planning to clear his room for more beetle space. But when Samsa saw his favorite painting being removed, he desperately tried to stop it, causing his mother to faint. The sister rushed to get smelling salts to revive their mother. Samsa followed to help, but startled his sister, causing the bottle to shatter and injure him. Then his father angrily threw an apple at Samsa's back, inflicting serious injury. In short, the whole family descended into chaos. Part 3 covers the month after the apple incident until Samsa's death. Severely injured, Samsa ate almost nothing. His family, busy making ends meet, increasingly ignored his needs. Parents and sister found jobs while renting out rooms. Samsa's room became storage. He hid among clutter, gradually excluded. One day, his sister played violin. Captivated, Samsa crept out, only to be spotted by tenants. Tenants, shocked by the beetle, complained about unsanitary conditions and threatened to leave. This sparked the family's disgust. What devastated Samsa most was his beloved sister's reaction. She demanded his removal first, refusing to acknowledge him as brother. Just an animal she was done with. Living as a beetle, Samsa sadly realized he was unwelcome at home. With tender yet hopeless longing for family, he died before dawn. The novel ends with the remaining three deciding to stroll in the suburbs. They discussed new lives, planning to move to a more practical home. Parents noticed their daughter had blossomed into a beauty, time to find her a suitable husband. The family seemed hopeful, while Samsa, who once supported them, vanished without a trace. Just in this world, the protagonist's fate concluded. Actually, salesman Gregor Samsa is Kafka's self-projection. Note the surname. The original surname Samsa is an ABA-style name. This mirrors Kafka's own name structure. Incidentally, Kafka had a beloved sister and wondered, if he became useless, would she reject him? In the Metamorphosis, he pushed this idea to the extreme. When publishing it, Kafka specifically warned the publisher, don't put a beetle on the cover, because the novel carries deeper meanings. Ultimately, the cover showed a youth weeping behind covered hands with a half-open door behind him. Here, family and individual no longer share acceptance but exist in a state of averted abandonment. This aligns perfectly with the novel's content. So, Metamorphosis uses an extreme event to question the family's purpose as society's basic unit, the novel's core theme. Many discussing this novel obsess over the metamorphosis, ranting about so-called capitalist alienation. What's alienation? Marxism defines alienation as workers becoming commodified under private ownership. Labor turns into goods, human agency vanishes under oppressive forces, suppressing individuality into lopsided development. True, alienation might have caused his transformation, but the novel focuses not on the change itself, but what follows. Metamorphosis is merely a device symbolizing any afflicted person, say someone incurably ill, jobless, becoming family burden. Faced with time and self-interest, human nature often proves fragile. Actually, the novel never explicitly says Samsa became a beetle. Kafka's original German meant vermin or pest, foreshadowing Samsa's family status post-change. This starkly contrasts with the protagonist's name. Gregor Samsa. Gregor means guardian. He protected his family yet ended as a pest to expel. This is undeniably brilliant irony. Comparing pre-post metamorphosis, we see two key changes in Samsa: appearance and speech. He lost human form and language ability. Yet conventionally, appearance and speech aren't considered humanity's essence. People often say, don't judge by appearance but inner character, not by words but actions. In body versus soul, speech versus action, soul and action seem more essential. But through Metamorphosis, Kafka shows this is our cognitive trap. Modern society's essence is actually body and language, not soul and action. Appearance enables recognition and belonging. Language enables communication. Without these, social existence means ruin. Samsa embodies tragedy after losing language and mobility. Post-transformation, Samsa needed ages to form one sentence. Eventually, his voice became unrecognizable to others. This signaled his social identity's impending collapse. When Samsa finally opened the door, a different scene awaited. The office manager's flight marked the end of Samsa's career. Mother and sister's panic, plus father's expulsion, signaled family crisis. Father's liberating kick sent him back to his room. For Samsa, this meant social death, utter abandonment. Amid social identity crisis, soul and action grow meaningless. Deep down, Samsa overflowed with love for his family. He'd planned to fund his sister's music conservatory at Christmas. Hearing of father's secret savings, he praised his foresight. He never questioned how that money could have cleared debts earlier, sparing him this awful job. He saw nothing wrong with father hoarding money while exploiting him. What's off about that? He's still worried for his family's future, feeling only shame and guilt for becoming a jobless beetle. When his sister recoiled, Samsa dragged a sheet to the sofa. This simple act took 4 agonizing hours, covering himself completely so she'd never see him bending down. He carefully lifted the sheet with his head to see how his sister reacted to his thoughtful gesture. He even imagined catching a glimpse of gratitude in her eyes. In Samsa, his animalistic traits kept intensifying, while his kind, considerate nature became increasingly evident. Kafka's writing shows how insect identity degraded the protagonist physically, yet revealed his inner beauty. Samsa's noble heart starkly contrasted with his suffering. Samsa's tragedy was retaining human consciousness, values, and memories of past life. This drove him to repeatedly cross that door, symbolizing connection, to return to family. But harsh reality kept disappointing. His father gravely wounded him with an apple. Tenants raged at his presence. Family grew weary. His sister disowned him, demanding removal. As Samsa entered his room, the door was slammed and locked behind him. His family ties severed completely with that closed door. The one who locked it was his closest sister. She even shouted to parents, "He's finally in!" This cruelty killed Samsa. He resolved to vanish, more firmly than her. By contrast, family and tenants revealed greater inhumanity. We might say they were beetles in human skin. Actually, Samsa's portrayal vividly mirrors modern existence. With writerly sensitivity, Kafka prophetically foresaw the age of loneliness. From his mother, we learn Samsa never went out nights, worked constantly, and had no hobbies. Woodworking was his sole pastime. One product was the picture frame in his room. The framed picture showed a lady in fur hat and scarf. This revealed Samsa's longing for companionship. He yearned to connect with others authentically, but reality left him deeply unsatisfied. He absolutely hates his salesman job because he's constantly on the road day after day, unable to form deep connections with others or smoothly engage with the outside world. You could say Samsa has always lived in a huge conflict between personal life and career, suppressing his inner feelings for his family's sake. That's why he especially loves gazing out the window to temporarily break his isolation and feel joyful freedom. Here, the window symbolizes the connection between inside and outside, giving Samsa the possibility of free gazing. That the window also sets a boundary between the lonely and the outside world, making true contact impossible. You could say the window creates a balance between a lonely life and the longing for the outside world. This balance built by the window is actually very fragile. Over time, Samsa had to double down on suppressing his inner feelings, and the more he suppressed, the more painful it became. Famous psychologist Freud believed that if one can't endure and is powerless to change painful reality, the ego sinks into subconscious impulses, directly yielding to the id to control consciousness and escape reality. You could say it's precisely this subconscious impulse that made Samsa transform into a beetle and retreat to an animal-like solitary state to escape conflict and responsibility. But by retreating into isolation, he distanced himself further from the open outside world. His existence became more confined, his contact with family dwindled, and gradually the window lost its role in connecting to the outside world. Samsa could no longer enjoy that feeling of freedom from gazing, and his eyesight grew weaker. All he saw outside was a gray, indistinct wasteland, a desert that mirrored his state of existence. If this continued, Samsa's situation would worsen, and he'd become even more reclusive. This reminds one of Kafka's other novel, The Burrow, where an animal lives completely isolated underground to satisfy its need for security. The windowless burrow symbolizes the complete severance from the outside world. In fact, Samsa himself realized He was turning his room into a cave where he could crawl undisturbed in all directions and quickly forget the past. But unlike the burrowing creature in the burrow, Samsa, though physically insect-like and changing, retained a human soul, which became his tragedy. Samsa's transformation actually symbolized self-fragmentation. The tension between these split selves prevented true escape. His metamorphosis marked the start of new conflicts and contradictions. Losing human form and speech barred his return to society, yet his desperate longing to return became his tragedy's root. Through Kafka's extreme experiment in Metamorphosis, we see daily life isn't the safe, warm haven we imagine. It hides danger, coldness, and cruelty. Kafka painted a world where our normal life might be illusion, while reality is opposite. That's his uniqueness. This vision permeates his other works. Like in The Trial, Yosef K. inexplicably becomes defendant. His appeals to court vanish unanswered. He must first admit guilt to prove innocence. Or in The Castle, protagonist K tries everything but never enters the fortress. Facing these unfathomable realities, Kafka's protagonists are helpless against absurdity and chaos. If writers craft human dreams, Kafka specialized in nightmares. To capture these visceral experiences through art, as French philosopher Garadi noted, Kafka neither imitates nor explains the world. He recreates it richly to shadow its flaws, awakening our buried longing to seek a lost homeland within. All right, that concludes our interpretation of Kafka's Metamorphosis. Reading notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.